Today there was a little row at Copenhagen because Mr. Stern of the UN negotiator said that the US did not have a climate debt, did not have any responsibility basically for the current situation with climate in regards to climate change. And that kind of went the wrong way with the Chinese, but it also went the wrong way with me, because I can open a report here. It's called the Charney report, and it says that when it is assumed that the carbon dioxide content in the atmosphere is doubled, statistical thermal equilibrium is achieved, the more realistic of the modeling efforts predict a global surface warming between 2 degrees and 3.5 degrees centigrade. And we're now trying to fight the 2 degree centigrade with the doubling of the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere by 2050 or 2060 or something like that. Because 3.5 degrees centigrade, as mentioned in his report, is devastating to the planet. But this is not a recent report. This is a report made 30 years ago by the Jasons, ordered by Mr. Reagan, Ronald Reagan. Very enlightened of him to have ordered that. It's not very enlightened of Mr. Ronald Reagan to have ordered another report after this one, because this one was confirming what the climatologists at the time said would happen and was a danger, and the US would have had to respond 30 years ago. And if they had not let let's say the corporate interests rule, and if Ronald Reagan, I guess, would not have calculated that he would not be alive at the time that this type of problem would start to be very serious, we would not have the problem we have today. We would simply not have it. Because I've read all the patents from the 70s and the 80s for clean energy, and there's plenty there to make the change that we need to be completely green. And it's quite understandable that the Chinese don't like remarks to the effect that the US is not responsible. The US is responsible for 21% of the carbon emissions in the world. China, okay, is the second, 15%. But the per capita emissions in the US are about 5 times as much as in China. And there is a debt. And there is the risk, I guess, if you really stonewall any way to take strong action to reduce carbon emissions, then you invite action to the effect that the US will be deprived of 70% of their oil. I think that's not an unimaginable thing, because all the countries know that there is one country that has been emitting carbon like crazy and living a lifestyle that has been completely irresponsible, as the Chinese said today. And it is irresponsible if you ignore such clear warnings. And then even until today, Mr. Inhofe in the US Senate goes on saying there's no climate change, there's nothing like that. You know, that is irresponsible, a sign of ignorance and lack of common sense, I think. And it's I think, and and to add insult to injury, Mr. Stern also said that the US would not be giving any help to China, to which the Chinese could reply, well, you don't have to give us dollars, we already have $2 trillion of you. And they're about to become pretty worthless, even though the dollar is rallying today. It's not a good situation to create such tensions in a debate, but it might be intentional, because if somebody ignores the Stern report, or not the Stern report, but these Jason's reports, and pretends like nothing has happened, it's probably somebody that wants to do nothing about climate change, is on the same page as Ronald Reagan in the 1979, and is about to help others destroy your planet. And thanks for listening.